So welcome to today's episode. Today I want to talk to you about a principle, a belief that I have that I believe everyone should experience in their lifetime, and that is the principle of you should live in multiple countries of your lifetime. What I mean by that is there's this old-fashioned belief that the country that you're born in is your home forever. And most people in society, most people spend their entire lives living in the same country that they are born into. In fact, some people never even leave that country for their entire lifetime, even on a holiday. In fact, I've got family members who grew up in Australia and have never left Australia. Now, Australia is a great country, but I believe that if you go your whole life without even flying overseas, that is just it's a sad thing, because there's so many beautiful countries out there, so many different places for you to explore and different cultures and customs that you can experience. And with the cost of travel these days, why wouldn't you want to travel around the world and experience the best of different countries? Now, here's why this is so experienced for me. I was quite lucky in my own life. I got to travel before the age of 20. I started to travel to a few different countries outside of Australia. I went to South Africa for a week. That was my first international trip, and I found that I loved it. I loved just going out of my country, going on that whole adventure, and then going to a place that was so different from home. I got a real taste for it. So as soon as I started making money where I could afford to travel a bit more, that's exactly what I did. I went to Singapore. Shortly after that, I started going to places like Fiji. And in my young 20s, it got to a point where I was spending more time of my year on the road going to different countries, largely for my work, but it was also for a lot of pleasure. I found a way to combine both of them, but I was spending more time overseas than I was in Australia. And so I made it a goal fairly early on that I wanted to actually go and live in some of these countries. I wanted to really experience them, not just as a tourist, but even as a resident. So 2014, I chose Asia, and I said, okay, I'm going to find a country in Asia and I'm going to go and live there for a while. Now, I contacted a lawyer who was a specialist in moving offshore. And at the time I had a company. That was partially my motivation. I knew there were better places to have a company like mine located than where I was, because I didn't need to have a big physical office in Australia with a lot of staff in Australia. I had a virtual model, so I could have people all over the world, which I did. At one point, we were at over 300 staff. The vast majority of them were international. So I ended up looking at a bunch of different countries: Hong Kong, Singapore, I think Thailand was on there, Malaysia was on there, and I'd never really considered Malaysia. But I Googled it. I remember finding a video on YouTube and thinking, okay, that looks all right. So I booked a flight, and this was literally my due diligence. I flew over there, I stayed in a hotel, I spent a few days walking around, I explored the city, I went and ate at all the different restaurants, and I thought, could I see myself living here? And then I looked at the cost of living, and it was substantially lower than Australia. For example, I could get a really nice apartment in the city center for $700 a month. Now, this was a 3 or 4 bedroom. I think it was a 3-bedroom apartment, but it had a balcony. It was on like maybe the 20th floor, so it had this nice view of the city center, and it had this enormous living room. It was the most luxurious apartment that I had ever lived in. My apartment back in Perth was a shared apartment, and I had this little box, a little shoe box for a bedroom, and that was also my office too. So this was an enormous upgrade for me. So that's what I did. I signed a lease for an apartment. A couple of weeks later, I had my first office there. My first office was big enough where I had my own private office, and it was connected to this bigger open flooring office where I could have staff. And so I did hire a few staff to work in that office, and the rest of them were virtual. But I remember buying some cubicles, we set them up, and I think we had about 12 staff at one point in this bigger area, this bigger square office, and then my little office was off to the side. But it was perfect for what I needed. So I ended up spending several years living in Malaysia, and I really got to enjoy that. Years later, I moved here to Costa Rica. So right now, my primary residence is on this beach that you see here in Costa Rica. And there's parts of it that I love, there's parts of it that are more challenging, but overall, I can't complain. I mean, living here on a beach I was lucky in many ways to be able to spend 2020 living here in Costa Rica. But my belief is that everyone should spend parts of their life not just living in different cities or different homes, but living in different countries. I think that everyone should go and explore Asia, for example. I think that everyone should get to explore the USA, parts of Latin America. And even if it's just for a few months of your lifetime, even if you're just doing a short-term rental, it's one of the best things that you can do just for your personal growth and just to enjoy your life and experience something different. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't do it is because they believe that it's too difficult. They might have their family in one city, one country, kids in school, they might have their work in one place, and I get it. But you can, if you are determined enough, you can design your life in such a way where, for example, with your work, you can work remotely, where you can bring your family with you to live in a different country, even if it's for a few months. There are different options for schooling. Homeschooling, enrolling your children in a local school, wherever you go. I know a couple who have a daughter, and from the moment that their daughter was born, they've been on the road. And now I think their daughter is 10 or 12 or something like that, and they are still traveling to this day. They lived in Bali, they've lived in Fiji. They've had what most people would consider this dream life of traveling the world with their entire family, and they homeschool their daughter. So there are options if you are determined enough to experience this lifestyle, even for the short term. Now, when it comes to getting the details though, learning about, well, what are the different countries and what are the entry requirements, what are the work opportunities, what's it cost to get a car, to get an apartment, all of those specific details, the great news is I am doing a live training event in about 2 weeks from right now, and it's going to be based here in Costa Rica. I have 7 confirmed speakers speaking at this event, which is going to go for 7 days, 6 nights. It's for you and a guest. It includes everything, all your accommodation, all your food, your entertainment, everything. You will be staying at a beachfront resort. Right here, you can't see it, it's out of frame, but it's literally on this beach. And I've got all of these amazing speakers. One of the speakers is the preeminent expert when it comes to internationalization. He's lived this as a lifestyle for over 15 years, going to different countries, setting himself up, having all these different flags, you might call them. I also have attorneys and relocation specialists who focus on Costa Rica, and they're going to be coming and sharing with you as well. So you and your partner, or just you if you want to come alone, you can come stay at a luxury resort, and for 7 days, 6 nights, you'll spend half your time learning this incredible, valuable information, and the other half the time we're going to go do fun things. We've got crocodile tours lined up, we've got ATVs, exploring waterfalls, surf lessons on the beach. I'm going to show you all around the best parts of Costa Rica, and you are going to love this. We did another event a few weeks ago on a different topic, but this one's going to be all about becoming an international citizen of the world, being able to have a lot more options. So if you want to find out more, there should be a link somewhere below. Click the link, get your tickets, get your flights. There's still time to make this happen. And even with all the travel restrictions there are now, it's still possible to travel. I know a lot of people who are able to travel, they are traveling, and I encourage you in a safe way, come down here, you'll meet all the COVID requirements, of course, but it's a great lifestyle here, so you can come and see it for yourself. Click the link below, and I look forward to seeing you in Costa Rica real soon.